So today we're going to be talking about the time that Saitama fought Goku and it ended in the possible destruction of the entire universe. And speaking of that, power scaling in superpowered anime worlds is fun enough, but it gets even crazier when smashing two together. And Dragon Ball and One Punch Man are perfect examples of wildly strong universes with endless potential for fan creations. So what happens when you make the two lead characters face off with each other? Well, today, we're gonna find out. So without much preamble and not even knowing each other's names, Goku immediately asks Saitama to do some sparring since he's strong. What's most surprising is that Saitama just agrees so easily, when he's usually too lazy to be bothered unless a monster is involved. He winds up throwing a decent punch but holds back to not kill Goku, which of course Goku consents and asks him to try harder. So Saitama does that, sending him flying backwards. Goku's glad to see Saitama going along with this rumble and prepares to show off a bit, with Saitama blandly stating that Goku could handle two of his normal punches with no problem. As Goku explains the different levels of Super Saiyan-ness, from Super Saiyan 2 to Super Saiyan God and beyond, Saitama just sees it as a way for Goku to flaunt how much hair he has and how it grows in other forms. Poor Caped Baldy. Imagine if he found out about Shenron and the wishes that he could grant. But back to the fight. Since there are more forms available, Goku just keeps climbing the transformation ladder as he shifts into them. Eventually, Saitama snaps and tells him to go full power so that they can get on with it. There's the impatience I was expecting, and the true battle begins. But of course, that is not the only thing that is happening here, because what's the fun in a friendly fight if there isn't some kind of argument going on in the background? So the two Zenos from the Dragon Ball Super universe watch the scene from their palace overlooking the multiverse. They agree that the fight will be entertaining, but have differing ideas on who should win the match. To be fair, they're judging by how loud and big the explosions or damage can get, and not the intricacies of both fighters' power and potential. But anyway, back to the fight, because Goku flips back and takes a moment to check on Saitama, having sensed his obvious dissatisfaction with life since becoming overpowered. Saitama tells Goku all about how he's the strongest and no one can even compete with him anymore in his world. And for someone like Goku, who's always seeking out higher challenges, that would be pretty depressing. But he recognizes that even with all of his abundance of bigger and badder opponents to face, he's never had enough because of his nature. That also makes Goku realize that he's spoiled and greedy in comparison to the struggle that Saitama's having. So he promises to give Saitama a good, tough fight so that he won't feel down anymore. So Goku pulls out the Kaioken technique. And Saitama, of course, accuses him of lying earlier about saying that there was no more transformations. Except this one, it's more of an enhancement, you know. But after Goku does go Kaioken, he straight up kicks Saitama into space. Just like he was previously in the series, but this time he's outside of the entire galaxy. And Goku, being a doer and not much of a planner, regrets sending Saitama out there where he can't follow him. But thanks to the two Zenos watching from their palace, they lend him the ability to breathe in space for the fight. Goku uses instant transmission and meets up with Saitama, with a panel displaying the time that has passed. Saitama grabs it, breaking the fourth wall, and also demonstrating their power as MCs, where time means nothing to them. Saitama chucks it at Goku disrespectfully, smacking him in the face. This leads to Saitama being punched even further away, and then used like an intergalactic ping pong ball by Goku. The Saiyan thinks it'll give Saitama the rush that he's craving, but I think it's just a hassle to be fighting in a place where you can't even put your feet down, and also having to hold your breath the entire time. But that's probably not too big of a struggle for Saitama, as we've seen before. With the smallest amount of time you can imagine, faster than the speed of sound, Saitama's flown past every part of that area in space. Then Goku prepares an energy blast next, just to really show Saitama who's boss. And Saitama's forced to get a bit more active with a serious exhale. Yeah, that could use some work, but you know how Saitama is. He usually makes them up on the spot. But anyway, they cancel each other out, sincerely impressed with each other. Saitama even starts to gain hope that he might be more lively after this battle. Goku gives him some pretty solid advice, suggesting that he might need to find the thing that truly makes him happy. The same that Bulma's not a fighter, but found her calling elsewhere, and the same for Gohan, who could easily become the strongest, but chose to go in a scholarly route instead. Saitama considers that it might be true, and it's not unlike the advice King gave him a while ago about seeking different aspects of hero work outside of straight power. But seeing as Goku's here, and he's insanely strong, and now that they're both fired up, Saitama unleashes his consecutive serious punches. Nonetheless, it's the result that matters, and Goku admits to being overwhelmed by his power and speed, and probably the number of hits. Even while struggling to just defend, Goku can tell Saitama is a beast of raw power. No techniques or special moves involved. Likewise, Saitama's glad that Goku can keep up and even push Saitama to go beyond where he usually does. He doesn't have to hold back with an opponent like this. Plus, there's no worry about killing him or needing to save the world. They could both just have fun while growing stronger. Because of the unusual but powerful bond through their fists, the two men could finally reach places that they had forgotten about. For Saitama, that meant remembering the time travel power he unlocked thanks to Cosmic Garo's brief training. And that means that he can use it now, skipping back through their fight and choosing the right moment to drop back in. A reversal of causality is triggered with Saitama diving into a moment not too long ago that should make his re-entry and strike unavoidable. And yet, Goku still manages to not be hit, even without knowing. Goku's body responded to the danger that was coming his way, so he was able to dodge at the right time and not get hit. And the fact that it's an instinctual thing and not one that Goku needs to monitor works well for him, since he's not really the intellectual or manipulative type. But Saitama's certainly impressed, but he can't help but complain about Goku's constant hairstyle changes and how he's got such a full head of locks. Maybe Saitama should have just let Zenos get the hair transplant from Dr. Kuseno after all. But jumping back to the Zenos, they're still in the middle of bickering about who will win, and who should have won already. Not unlike their respective fandoms for these two characters, of course. But because the argument is getting more heated, and they're able to destroy entire universes at will, the Grand Priest contacts Goku, and he lets him know that it might be best to end this fight now because everyone might be in danger if there's not a decisive victor. And even if there is, the losing side will be angry and say that there was cheating or bias involved. Of course, as a brawling fanatic, Goku doesn't want this to end, and I'm sure Saitama would be sad to know that he'll never face a fighter as adaptable and resilient as Goku once he leaves. But, well, the multiverse is at stake, of course, and it can't be helped. Goku let Saitama know the bad news right as Saitama was starting to get the light back in his eyes. So of course Saitama doesn't take it too well, angry that it's all ending before he's ready for it to stop. Just then he remembers their talk earlier about not needing to fight to be content with life. Saitama has other things that he enjoys and people he likes to be around. He can help Zenos become a stronger disciple or play video games with King in hopes of one day defeating him. Feeling calmer, Saitama agrees that they should call it quits, and a portal opens for him to get back home. Saitama makes his way home, realizing that he doesn't need to find another overpowered being just to be satisfied with living. And Goku's beyond thrilled to have encountered another crazy strong fighter out there. That doesn't mean that the Zenos feel the same though. In fact, they're still fuming about there not being a victor for the impromptu clash. Maybe even worse than if someone had come out on top. But what they agree on is that they should destroy something in retaliation, until someone unexpected shouts for them to be quiet. And the rumbling of his rage, and probably panic, let's not kid ourselves, starts up a cacophony that shakes the two. They can't help but scream and rush away in fear once King looms over them, his eyes glowing in the darkness they leave behind. So I think it's safe to say the real winner here is King, able to face off against two kings of all, and makes them stop their destructive behavior. We can't have them eliminating the video games King hasn't played yet after all. Also, how did he even get there? But anyway, that's pretty much it for this one. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. I'll have the original comic and the author's thread in the description below. And of course, let me know in the comments what you think about Goku versus Saitama. If you liked the video, please give it a like, please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.